Hey guys, it's Jamie Scrimger here, and you're listening to my podcast. I'm a wife, a mom of one, a stepmom of three, a coach, an entrepreneur, and a conversation opener, bent determined to live a kick-ass life. You are looking for raw and real conversations and are striving to live your very best life? You are listening to the right podcast. Life can be hard, really, really hard. But I believe that it's possible to thrive amongst the tough stuff. In fact, I'm grateful for all life's challenges. I really, really am, because I really believe that overcoming the tough stuff makes life that much better. Each week, I am going to bring you tips and strategies and mindset shifts that will inspire you to live your own version of kick-ass life, while bringing you along as I create my own. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, we are not talking about step parenting. We are talking about the transition to being a single mom, specifically how to thrive during this tough stage in life. Now, my good friend Joanna Venditti of Nesting Story is on the show, and she's a mom of four, including twins, a content creator, a vlogger with a highly acclaimed YouTube channel, which is The Nesting Story, as well as her blog, and she is a super talented digital entrepreneur. And guys, 2020 rocked Joanna's world even more than it did the rest of us. Her marriage ended and she became a single mom of four. Now, I always say on my platform that none of this was in anyone's 5-year plan. And when I say that, I'm talking about being a stepmom, being a single mom, being a single dad, being in a second marriage, getting divorced. Like, no one plans on any of this. But yet, it happens. It just happens. And in this episode, we are talking about the transition to being a single mom. How Joanna did it while she was sharing her life online, her strategies for self-care, and what she's done and continues to do to thrive during this tough time. Single mom, stepmom, married mom, whatever kind of mom you are, I know you're going to take something away from this episode. Let's dive in. Joanna, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I know. I'm excited to share you with my community and like the conversation that we're going to have today. But I also am so excited to chat with you because I feel like we haven't seen each other in so long, and it's just going to be nice to kind of catch up.
I know. I've missed you. It's been too long.
There's been no conferences. There hasn't really been anything going on. And that's typically when we run into each other. So this is going to be good because you've had a lot of life changes.
I have. A lot of life changes. But I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, well, that's what you just have to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so for those who aren't familiar with you, can you just kind of give us a bit of a lowdown, introduce yourself, what you've got going on and what you're all about?
Sure. So I am a mom of four. I have a son who's 11, a daughter who's 9, and then 6-year-old twin girls. And in a previous life, I was an interior designer. And when I was pregnant with my twins, I decided to pivot my business, which was an interior design firm called Nesting Story, into a personal blog, talking about twins and pregnancy, but kind of like not losing yourself along the way as a mom, because I had done that when I had my first child. And it kind of took off immediately and became its own thing. And so now today I share content on like home stuff, lifestyle, parenting, definitely a lot of wellness and kind of personal development and beauty and everything. And I have a YouTube channel and a blog, and I've built this amazing community and I love it.
Yeah, and you have such a phenomenal YouTube channel and such a great fan base of women who are striving for the same thing, is that not getting lost in motherhood. And that's an easy thing to do when you have 4 kids and, well, twins too, right? Like that's a whole other beast in itself.
Mm-hmm. And I really like to focus on problem solving in the home and how to make it, I really like that balance of making it beautiful and functional and problem solving, how to organize your life and create systems and schedules and routines so that you're not drowning. And you can create the time for yourself and your kids and all of it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I do feel like there's this push online right now where it's like, just kind of embrace the chaos, and it's you're not going to be able to do it all. And, it's okay if you feel like you're drowning all the time. And I know you and we've talked about this before. we're both like, yeah, it doesn't really, it's hard. And you're obviously going to have days where you feel like you're struggling, but it doesn't have to feel that way. Like you can
No.
implement strategies and systems, like you said, to thrive amongst all of that chaos.
Yeah, I like routine, and I wouldn't call myself like tutu type A, but I find if you, create homes for items in your home, or have, even just my kids are back at school, knowing that, okay, at this time I'm going to do this, and then this time I do my girl's hair, and then, just if you can plan a bit more, and then once you've done it and you know how to create structure in your life, there doesn't need to be that chaos, but you're also, and then you start freeing up time, and you're not running into problems, a few
Mm-hmm.
hours later or a few days later. So yeah, I think you and I function in a very, we're cut from the same cloth a bit, you and I.
Yeah, I feel like we're both super together sometimes, and then all of a sudden it's a freaking gong show, and then we stop and ask ourselves, okay, well, how can I do this better? And then we implement new systems, and it's just like wash, rinse, and repeat, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Love it. Okay, so amongst all of this and all the things that you have going on, you've had a pretty big transition in your life over the last maybe year, almost a year. Like you are a single
Yeah,
mom now.
I am. I
You're a
am.
single mom of four. Did you ever, was that, Jesus.
I
Did you ever
know.
see that happening?
No, I keep saying to people, I'm like, if someone, so I would say it's like a little over a year, around a year mark. But like, if someone had said to me summer 2019, uh, a year from now, or a little over a year from now, you are going to be a single mom of four amidst a global pandemic, I would be like, get out of here. Like, what? No. So, but I'm thriving. Like, that's the thing is like, I've been able to kind of like thrive through it. My kids are thriving. And I know that's what we're going to be talking about a lot. But yeah, big change. Big, big, big change.
Yeah, huge, huge change. So, what was it like going through a divorce? Like, okay, there's obviously the pandemic piece, but
Yeah.
you're also very public about your life. You know, you release YouTube videos throughout the week, like you're on social media, you are sharing a lot of the behind the scenes of your life. What was that like for you when, you're putting out this content, but behind the scenes, you also have all of this stuff going on?
Like my world was on fire behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
before I jump into kind of sharing, I will preface this that to your audience that, and I've shared this on mine, that when I talk about this topic, I'm very aware that I have older kids who have access to all of this. So whatever I say, I'm very careful to know that they could one day, or their friends could hear it or read it or whatever. So that's why I share the way I share it. I know we'll talk about that too. But basically, about a year ago, I would say my marriage fell apart. And, when you come to that realization, because I've spoken to a lot of women kind of, especially in DMs who are going through it, it's like, it's this, I felt like my world was just falling apart, and my kids had no idea. And it was a personal decision to kind of like get my ducks in a row before they knew. And so I had to, I describe it like Stranger Things, that the upside down, like in your reality and everything's clicking along, and then suddenly just like it hits you like what you're going through, and you're like at school pickup or something. I'm looking at all these moms who don't know yet what's going on, and my world is just on fire around me, and I feel like I can't breathe and everything. I even like lost my appetite, and didn't, like, it just, as I was going through that initial kind of like, wow. And then, but you have to fake it. Like there was a lot for me because it was my choices about like how I managed it. I'm really glad I did everything the way I did, but it was a lot. And then making the decision is the hardest part. A lot of people said, yes, there's a lot of other hard stuff, but when you really kind of break it down, to make the decision is the hardest part. And then once the decision was made, it was like, okay, I'm good. And then I had to kind of just start like, there's a lot of untangling of a marriage and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many, like it's wild. And I kept it all quiet. I'm a public person, and if you kind of go back in videos, and there's a video where I said, I'm going to go down to one video a week. And that's kind of when the flip happened around then. And I just was like, okay, take everything off your plate you can, and you got to kind of make sure you're taking care of yourself during all this. So what I really did was kind of reserve the energy for my kids and my public self to be able to kind of keep things trucking along, while privately I worked through that. And that was just my personal choice on how I was going to do that. I'm really glad I did it that way. It was a lot of work, but I'm really glad I did it that way.
Yeah, because it's Brene Brown, right? She has the rule that she doesn't ever share anything. And I think you and I have talked about this until she's fully gone through it. So
Yeah.
she doesn't, because typically if you're going through something, especially, and I have very similar rules in my platform. It's if I'm going through something in that moment, I don't share about it because your emotions really impact the way that you perceive a situation. And you don't
Yep.
want to say something that you would regret because the internet is forever. And like you're saying, like, our kids are on the internet. My stepkids see what I post. I'm not sure if they even look, but they could, right?
They could, yeah. And that's how I've always operated. So anytime that I shared something online, and I can think of a few instances, like I would never share something until there was resolution. And then if I felt like it was a story or something that people could benefit from, then I would share it. So that was really, really important for me. I feel for these people who put out these huge statements as soon as it happens, yet they're in the thick of the emotional part and they don't have all the answers. And then they have to answer to an online community. Like for me, I needed to walk through that season of life, just leaning on my close friends and family and privately. And go through that because it's a lot, and then make sure that I was a very healed, whole person when I started to share a little bit publicly. That was just really important to me.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think that's so important. Now, have you set any rules? Because this is another question that I get, especially when people are, they'll ask, well, how can you share stuff online about your stepkids? Like, what does their mom say and all that? And like, so you do have to have those conversations, but
Yes.
Have you had to have any of those conversations with your ex about what you're going to share about your life moving forward? Because now he's part of your story, but not in the story. And it kind of complicates things.
Oh, it does. 100%. 100%. We have kind of outlined the way I will share. We're in line with how I would share, but more just kind of like from my perspective, and also knowing that whatever goes out there, the kids can see. We even have some stuff in our legal parenting plan is how we had it right down to that. And I feel good about that. Like I respect that. And there's definitely rules. Like there's things about mostly just kind of like from my lens and more personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
I do get a lot of questions about the specifics of that process. And even that for me, it's just, I have to also choose for myself moving forward. Am I going to make my content about this? And I will share some little bits of my personal experience here and there, but I really don't want nesting story to be about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely have rules. Definitely have outlined how that is approached. And I think, it wasn't even part of our rules, but I went back and just made a whole bunch of videos. I haven't taken their dad off of the content. Like he's there. He's a big part of my life and their life and my past. It's like a chapter ending. I don't feel like it's a failure. I honestly feel like it's a chapter that's ended.
Yeah.
But I did go back on my own and privatize a whole bunch of videos just because I just didn't I wanted Nesting Story to be able to transition into a new place. And that for me personally was really important to just kind of create that tone.
Yeah, I totally agree. So you just said that you don't tell the nitty-gritty about what's going on. And I think that's so important because I know there's people who will reach out to me online. They'll say, I just want more information about what's going on. And that's what I share more in my exclusive stepmom community. It's definitely more detailed in there, but we still don't share the nitty-gritty because I think it's important to remember or to realize that you can share the lessons and the overall picture of what's going on and support people through their stuff without sharing someone else's story or
Hmm.
someone else's, it's their business, right? And I have to be really, really careful. And you are the same about what you share. And so it's crazy how many people are just like craving that nitty gritty detail. And it's like, would you tell the freaking internet like your deepest, darkest, or like the details of your divorce? Like, no,
Yeah.
something that you do have to create some boundaries in terms of what you share and what you don't.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I've actually been like, it makes me feel really good about how I've approached this. I've been applauded by so many people on posts or videos, like the little bit I share about how I've handled it and the privacy, and that's felt really good that people respect how I've done this. But it's really interesting because the little bit I've shared, I just put out a blog post earlier this week, just with like a bit of sharing in terms of like like a very high level kind of about it, but I can't even, it's so general. Like the way I'm sharing is a very general way, but it's so funny because the page views went through the roof. Like people really are craving, and I think they want to know, like they've been invested for so long and they were invested in us as a family. So of course there's the naturally go and take my story and just all, even though it's not that exciting, but like I think anyone who is like, think really hard about sharing the front of your house or this part or that part of your story, because you never know when something could take off and your little community of like 200 people explodes into hundreds of thousands. Like I've gone viral before. I think that's another thing that's really helped me navigate this is I've gone in 2015, I went extremely viral and was in so like, People and Cosmo and, all over the news and everything. So I've had that, and I know how things can catch on and grow legs. And I'm very sensitive to the fact that about what you put out there and how it can travel.
Absolutely. You have to be really, really careful with what you share. And I think, yeah, more and more I'm starting to think about that kind of stuff too. Like, tagging where you are. Like it only takes one creepo,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like one creep to, put your safety at risk. So I totally get that. And I totally respect all of that. Now, when you're going through all of this, I have a question for you because you have coped really, really well. What are your strategies for that? Because even people who have an amicable relationship with their ex and, they're kind of on the same page about things, there's still emotions involved. There's still really tough conversations. There's still that, like those, are you freaking kidding me moments
Mm-hmm.
where, you could kind of go back into old habits or to get into an argument and just really have trouble coping. So what have you done, or what tips and strategies do you have for people who are going through this right now?
Okay, so I have a few. One of the first things I did was realize that fear for me was in the driver's seat. And it's good to have an element of fear in your life, but don't let it be taking over and clouding your judgment. So I actually started CrossFit in the fall and doing CrossFit. And it was partly because I was in so much emotional pain. I just needed to feel another kind of pain than emotional pain. And that was totally transformative for me, and it got rid of the fear and made me see clearly the big picture and how strong I was. So I don't go to the gym anymore, but I'm still like, exercise for me is number one, and that for me creates a clear mind and reminds me how strong I am. So when I plan out my day, I like to sit with my planner. I'm very structured. That's the first thing I put down. And then everything else has to revolve around my exercise. And so exercise or something, even like taking up a new skill, something that's active that will really push you to your limits, especially in those beginning stages, I think I can contribute so much of how I've been able to hold it together with that. Second would be therapy. In the beginning, my ex and I saw a couple of therapists. Then I found my own who was amazing. Then I saw another one to help prepare to tell the kids. And even whenever we have a hiccup or anything, that's who I go to, just to kind of like help me navigate things. So therapy's huge. And then the third thing, most recently, now that I'm on the side of co-parenting and those challenges and those emotions and that, like the way you put it, like you gotta be kidding me moments. I've kind of, one of the things I did was research, and I'd like to dive into this more myself, is how to communicate with your kid's dad. Like we're quite amicable, but there's definitely moments we're just very different type of people. And so to kind of learn some language around certain topics, and then have to know, okay, when I need to talk about this, this is the way I need to phrase this. And these are the boundaries around where that conversation should take place. That's been my newest thing that I'm really trying to learn. And that's been a really, really important, really big deal.
Oh my God, that is so huge because it's crazy how you can communicate the same thing in so many different ways. And the
Mm-hmm.
way in which you communicate can dictate how the conversation goes. Like they can feel offended or feel like you're attacking them or feel like you're criticizing them, or it can just be a really great conversation and it's
Mm-hmm.
all with the same intention, like
Yeah.
the same objective of the conversation. So I think that's huge because I'm always like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And
How you say it. Yeah.
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 You know what's a good rule is the 24-hour rule is so if you get an email or if you're like dealing with something or need to respond to a text with the ex and you're just not on the same page about it and you want to like you're having an oh, are you freaking kidding me moment,
Yeah.
24-hour rule it. Like write your
I've heard that
response
from some
and
other
don't
people.
send
And
it. Yeah,
yeah,
don't send it and then reread it the next day and like reread it in your head how you think they would perceive it. It's hard because sometimes you just want to send because you're pissed. But
yeah.
yeah, that's a really, really good strategy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that type of thing because I don't like things to sit, but I'm starting to do that type of thing much more. And it really pays off just to be
Mm-hmm.
very intentional about anything and not to let your emotions, drive you, to really be level headed and to know what you want your outcome to be very clear about like, this is the discussion we need to have. And this is the outcome that I want to get to. So to make sure that you're really clear with yourself before diving into certain topics.
Mm-hmm. No, so good. Now, are the kids going back and forth to different houses, or are you guys doing the visits in your house?
So they're going back and forth. There's been a bit because of quarantine visits here, but there is like they have rooms at his place and everything, and that's gone very well.
Mm-hmm.
They are with me at this point the majority of the time just because of school and everything, and I have the flexibility to take them back and forth. But I think, it's going to evolve over time. But yes, they have their own rooms there, and it's been really nice. Like they look forward to it, and I use that time to just kind of regroup and everything. It's been good.
Yeah. Now, what do you want your kids to remember about this separation and divorce?
Hmm.
I know that's a heavy question, right? Because, I always say
Yeah.
kids are going to look back on this with an adult perspective. Like they will remember their parents' divorce with an adult perspective. It's like, what do you want them to take out of this?
Mhm. I've had my moments where, well, first of all, I can't believe how well they're thriving, and that I think, the way we took our time, like a long time to be separated, but still live together and then physically apart was on purpose to have things in line. And that was not easy, but it was totally worth it. But I think one of the things lately, especially in August before school started, was the fact that I became a single mom in the middle of a pandemic when I didn't have school or camp. And I didn't think it was supposed to be that way. Like when plans were put in place, I had, I was able to have more help. I couldn't have parents' help. I couldn't have babysitters or anything. So that was huge. I really started my single mom life as basically the hardest situation as I could have, it's nice too, because now I feel like, okay, it can't really get harder than that. But I would like my kids to also to be like, first of all, that they felt like they were loved through the whole thing and lots of support. But the second I would like it at some point when they become parents to be like, holy crap, my mom became a single mom during a global pandemic when she had zero help. And to just have that moment, it's like when we all have our first baby and you really appreciate your mom more. I would love for them to just have that moment where they're like, wow, she did that.
Yeah.
That's like totally, it's just like me just kind of wanting them to finally recognize, because there were just days where I would, be so exhausted. Like I'm not a multitasker, and that's what quarantine forced me to do. I like to plan my day and do one task at a time and compartmentalize. And that was just so hard for me. And so there were days where I just looked at them and thought to myself, like, oh, if you only appreciated like my side of things, but I know I can't do that right now. They're going through it too.
Yeah. And, you know, kids just don't see all the things that are going on or all that their parents do. Right. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I actually have conversations with stepmoms all the time, and they're like, they just don't appreciate me. They don't appreciate all that I do for them. And like they don't appreciate any parents. They don't really
No,
get it. Like you can't
no,
really get it until you're a parent yourself. So they are going to
no.
look back with an adult perspective and see how like they're going to, you know, your kids are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, my mom was in the trenches. Like she handled that like a freaking champ." And then
Yes.
it's going to show them, you know, especially your daughters, wow, I can do anything.
Yeah, I had my moments like so where I'd be like mowing the lawn while having dinner, in the crock pot and like stopping every once in a while to like get on my phone to send a work email. And I'm thinking like, I'm glad they're seeing this. Like I want them to be like, my mom did all that and I can too. Like that same feeling of like just seeing me take on all the roles of fixing a toilet, but then jumping into like bath time and bedtime. And like, just it's been really good. It's been really good for them. It's been really good for me. I've really embraced the whole thing.
Well, you didn't really have a choice.
I didn't
Like
have
it's
a
like
choice at
this is my
all.
reality. I can either thrive, I can either, like you said, problem
Yeah.
solve, or I can play the victim.
Yeah. I never have played the victim. In fact, I've really had to learn, especially like I have my different moments where I need to learn to reach out to people. And I'm getting way better of my like little village of people, friends and family of when there's like maybe a harder anniversary of things coming up, or if I'm just like having a hard time to just reach out to them. I'm getting better at it. That's a hard one for me. But yeah, I really just made the decision a long time ago that, there's a few ways I can go about this, and I'm going to live my life and live my next chapter to the fullest, and have a next chapter. Like, even when it comes to like dating and stuff, like I'm not going to just be like, okay, I'm done. Like I just feel like this is just my next chapter and I'm excited about it.
Because you're going to go into this new chapter as a new person too, right? Because
Oh
you've
yeah.
obviously learned lessons from your first marriage, and you know you've evolved as a person. So I always say the second spouse or the second partner gets the better version because they've just learned so much.
Yeah, like I'm 100% not the same person I used to be, and everyone in my world says that too. And I really love this version of myself. And I think it's important to look at your first marriage as a big picture. Like their dad and I, we were teenagers when we started dating, and we were babies. And yeah, I'm a completely different person now.
Now, has this changed your perspective on divorce at all?
100%, 100% it has.
In what way?
But it's okay. I come from like a very like a Christian family, but my family is more like very relaxed, kind of liberal Christians. But I think I don't know. When I look back to when I got married in my 20s, and I was quite young, like how old was I? Maybe 24, like pretty young. I was like, I've got to get married. I've got to have the kids. I've got to, and although I never judge anyone for getting divorced, I've got a lot of family members who are divorced and have had wonderful second marriages. I think that I've now had a lot of people come to me who are on the brink of making that decision personally and online. And I see it in such a different way because I think, first of all, there's that whole thing about like staying together is the only good route for your kids, and that's not true. Like the decision to get divorced was in the best interest of my kids, only because like they deserve two happy parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also that the whole next chapter, that I can have this really amazing next chapter, and that was not, that marriage didn't define who I was at all. And I think I felt like it did. And it's hard when you're in it and to kind of see like what your best route is. And I can't give that. It's a very personal one about, do you stay and work on the marriage or do you end it?
Mm-hmm.
But 100%, like being on this side of things and going through it, as hard as it was and as difficult and, all of the parts of it, I feel like I see life in color now that I didn't before, which just shows that it was just meant to go this route.
And everyone deserves to be happy, right? And that's the piece. My mom was on my podcast a little while ago, and she was talking about her divorce and to my dad, and we were just kind of talking about our childhood and stuff. And she said she was talking to someone who was saying like it was such a bad thing they were getting divorced, and was talking about it in a negative light, almost like there was this stigma against it. And yeah, you like marriage is hard work, relationships are hard work. You need to do the work no matter what, right? Mm-hmm. But if it's not serving you, and no one deserves to live a life unhappy.
Exactly.
Right? Like you have one shot at this, and you should be happy, you should be fulfilled, and you should be a team. And I think that everyone deserves that. And I love that you're like, okay, I'm growing through this, and I'm still going to have a future, and I'm going to show my kids, hopefully that type of love. And maybe it wasn't with their dad, and that's okay, but there is that love out there, and I want to model that for them.
Yeah, exactly. And, I didn't get married in my 20s thinking, oh, I could just get divorced. Like, it just was not on my mind. And it's funny because when the decision was made, I think all winter and spring, I would say to my family, I will never get married again. It doesn't mean like I definitely plan on having future relationships but I have no desire. And then quarantine's really changed me, where it's made me think, oh yeah, I do want that next chapter, and I'd be open to marriage again. But again, I would go into it in a different way. But I definitely, there's a reason why a lot of people after their kids grow out of the baby and toddler stage, that the divorce rate's pretty high. And then it's, we had a lot of things against us too with twins. Like you start to take into everything into consideration of all the things we've been through over the years. And we had a lot working against us, but you deserve to be happy. And I can't believe the happiness I've felt even in the worst parts of the past year, the beauty that's shown up in terms of relationships in my life with friends and family, and that you really get rid of like all that surface garbage and just dive right into the good stuff. And it's amazing. Yeah.
Now, last question. If you have any advice for someone who's going through this right now, who is going through divorce, they're, a new single mom, what do you got? What's your final piece?
Final piece. Get out there. I won't talk about my personal life, but I will just say, like, take the time for yourself. You deserve it. You don't need to be giving of yourself to your kids 24/7. Like, you're a good mom, and you deserve to like I create boundaries. So I shut down my house at 8:30, and my twins are already in bed asleep, but my big kids stay up late. And I'm just like, last call for snacks at 8. House gets shut down at 8:30. They can hang out in their bedrooms as long as they want. I'm off duty. I go to my room, read a book, maybe work out, maybe have a bath, whatever. So I take that time for myself. But I think also like having relationships and getting out there and taking care of yourself and exercising. Like, I think that's so important. I think that's huge. And you can't just wait around and that time's going to show up. You need to create that time for yourself and be intentional about it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's super important for any mom or stepmom or just anyone who's in any type of caregiving role, right? Like, you have to, we've all heard it 1,000 times, but you really do have to take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you have.
Yeah, put the oxygen mask on yourself before your kids, and then you're a way better parent for everybody. They see the best version of you.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Joanna. I love chatting with you. We have to get together. We need to have some wine.
We do.
We should have done this like in person, actually, with masks and wine. I don't know how to do that, but yes. So I'm going to link all things Joanna, so everyone can come check you out, follow along. And again, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
And I am proud of you. I'm very proud of you and how you have dealt with this year and how you are showing up. You are freaking glowing. So you're doing something right.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, if you like this podcast, please do me a little favor. Take a second and subscribe on iTunes, and then screenshot this podcast, give it a share in social media, and tell your friends what you think. And hey, don't forget to tag me so that I can thank you for helping me spread the word. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.